Hello, thank you for viewing this presentation about East Hill Elementary School boundaries. We had a community meeting on January 31st, and this presentation provides the same information and an opportunity to provide feedback on the boundaries. My name is Ellen Dorr, and I'll be sharing the following agenda with you. We'll start with a welcome and some background information. I'll discuss the committee process. I will show you an overview of the boundary proposals and outline the feedback process and then close the video. To begin with, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this recording. Our goals overall in the Renton School District are to ensure that all students receive an excellent education. We know that if school buildings are overcrowded, that can become more challenging. In this presentation, our goals are to share information and proposals in order to gather community feedback. We really value your input. And also, we want to name that we know this is a complex change. It brings different emotions, challenges, and opportunities. We know that with some students shifting schools and staff shifting schools, there can be some feelings of loss, but we also know that all of our principals and our school staff are ready to continue to create powerful community at their schools and ensure that students are in a culture where they can thrive, where they are learning and feel connected. So all of our work in the school district is grounded in our core values of service, excellence, and equity. In particular, right now, we're really thinking about this family and community engagement piece, and that is why your feedback is so important. Some background information. We are looking at the East Hill area, so that is the top right corner of this slide. We had some higher enrollment and crowding in the elementary schools on the East Hill, and because of that, in 2019 in November, voters approved for the building of a new elementary school. It is indicated by the pink star in that area. Because of where it is located and because of where some of the overcrowding is, this school will impact the boundaries for elementary schools on the East Hill. So Hazelwood, Highlands, Honeydew, Kennydale, Maplewood, and Sierra Heights. This slide shows us enrollment data for elementary students in Renton over time. So you can see that between 2012 and 2015, we had an increase in students in K-5. There was a bit of a plateau from 2015 to about 2018, and the following year is when voters approved the building of the new elementary school. You can also see that there was the beginning of a decline in enrollment, and then in 2020, of course, we entered the pandemic, and so you can see that there has been a continued decline in enrollment. Despite that, we are still a bit overcrowded at some of our East Hill elementary schools. So this chart shows current enrollment from October of this school year for each of our 6 schools. And then the next column, where it says capacity at 85%, this indicates the number of students that would put this school into an 85% use of the capacity of the building. This is a goal of ours because it allows for more flexibility in how we use our spaces. The next column, where we see all the red numbers, shows us what our permanent capacity is versus enrollment for those schools right now. As you can see, they are all close to or over 100%. That is offset, though, by the use of portables at many of these schools. So the next 2 columns show us the total capacity at 85%, which is the capacity of the school building with portables. Still, some of our schools, even with portables, are a bit too full. So that is why, even though our enrollment has declined a bit, it's still important for us to be opening this new school. And as I mentioned, this school is in this service area, and to make that adjustment, we have to adjust the boundaries for several of the elementary schools. As a note, the middle school boundaries and the high school boundaries are not under review at this time. They will remain the same. So regardless of any new elementary boundary, high school and middle school boundaries stay the same. Additionally, we know we may need to adjust high school boundaries in the upcoming years as we develop a plan for updating Renton High School. We have a committee that had been working together on these boundaries. This committee is really designed to provide a recommendation to the school board. They have considered constraints and interests relevant to creating boundaries for the new elementary and the surrounding elementary schools, and to review models and assess impacts. This committee has been made up of family representatives, 10 amazing folks who have worked with us, up to 2 from each of the 6 impacted elementary schools. We have also had an REA representative, so from our teachers union, 3 of our school principals, 2 school principal supervisors, and a school board director. In addition, we have had school district staff supporting this team to provide data and information. Our timeline has been a quick one. In November, we had our first boundary committee meeting with the team. In December, we really defined the problem, understanding the context, and outlined interests. In January, we had a subcommittee come together of 5 family members from the committee who developed models and brought models back to the committee to review. And now we are sharing those models with the community for feedback. In February, our plan is to finalize the recommendation to present to the school board in March. So I'll share a little bit about the boundary committee work. The boundary committee began by reviewing district enrollment data and school building capacity data in greater detail than we've shared here this evening. They also worked to identify interests relevant to creating boundaries. And then they developed boundary proposals using geographic mapping, multiple data points, and enrollment projections, as well as considering some upcoming development projects. And now we are seeking your feedback on those proposals. I want to frame for you how we'd like you to review the proposals. There are 3 proposals that include the following data. The proposal includes estimated enrollment and building capacity for 2023, as well as projected enrollment and capacity for 2025. And then each proposal shows information regarding demographics for 2023. What we'd like you to do is review and assess each proposal and how well it meets the interests. And then we'll have you provide feedback using the online form. That form is linked on the website, and you'll be able to look at each proposal on the website as well. The following are the interests that the team put together. One is to balance enrollment. So thinking about a more average size of a school where elementary schools are a little bit more comparable, but are definitely within 85% capacity of the school building. That might mean that some are a bit smaller than others because the physical footprint is smaller. Within that, we also talked about reducing the use of portables and considering growth projections. We also talked about an interest of balancing demographics and programs, and another very important interest for the committee was thinking about neighborhood cohesiveness or community integrity, including common sense boundaries and safe travel to school. This map shows what the boundary proposal maps will look like, although this example is with our current boundaries. So over on the left, you will see that we have a map of the boundaries for the schools with schools labeled within the different colors. In this section, you can see the proposed enrollment for 2023, and then the next column shows the estimated permanent capacity for 2023. The gray line there indicates the 85% capacity line. And again, this is with permanent capacity, so not including portables. The next grouping shows the estimated permanent capacity for 2025. The other section of the boundary proposal to look at is the estimated racial breakdown for 2023 and estimated enrollment in special programs for 2023. What you will be looking at are 3 models, A, B, and C, to review and then consider the interests. Again, the interests are balancing enrollment, balancing demographics and programs, and thinking about community integrity. The models are linked on the website, but quickly I will show you this is Proposal A, where you can now see there is a new section of this teal color for Hilltop Heritage. Proposal B, slightly different drawings and lines for different schools. And then Proposal C. Please find the linked proposals on the website. And then use the form to provide feedback. Lastly, I'd like to share next steps. We will continue to update our website with questions that we are hearing from the community. The linked feedback form will be open through February 15th. Next, the Boundary Committee will review all feedback from both the in-person meeting on January 31st and from the online form. The Boundary Committee then will work to identify the best proposal to recommend to the school board, and then the school board will decide on the new school boundaries. With that, I would like to thank you for your time and attention here, and thank you for the feedback that you will provide to us. It will help us make the best decisions we can for all students in the Renton School District. Thank you.